2022 was wild. I mean, who knew the year after leaving our tiny house would be even more intense than living with cannibal quails? But it was. And for everyone asking in the comments, where do you live now? Back to the city? Bigger house? Are you still even together? This video is for you. And thanks for asking, by the way. Spoiler alert, we survived. Barely, but we survived. Very quick recap. In 2019, we left our very corporate New York City life to move out west to pursue our itch for a different life. We bought a 200 square foot tiny house at the beginning of the pandemic and rented space on an organic herbal medicine farm on Wapato Island. It was creative, it was chaotic, it was cozy, but by the end, we were ready to call it quits. And that brings us to 2022, where the story gets even crazier. Buckle up. Let's start with the big one, moving. With our farmland lease ended, we had the very difficult task of finding a new place to park the tiny house while we tried to put it out on the market. My tiny house people out there know this, but finding a place to park the house is one thing, but trying last minute is panic-inducing.
We just left. Bye-bye, Savi Island. We'll be back tomorrow to clean up.
We found a friend of a friend who had space in their driveway and was willing to let us park in it short-term. Parking spots are also particularly tricky because you have to have room for the tow truck to actually maneuver them in. Watching a tiny house being moved will give anyone so much anxiety. Selling the tiny house was like trying to rehome a very specific kind of pet. We wanted to find the right person who'd love it as much as we did. We had plenty of offers from all different kinds of people from all different ages. Knowing the ins and outs of the house helped us to filter out who would be the best in that space. Based on our experience, we would prefer that the next owners not live in it full time or have any physical issues in operating any of the functions of the house. After weeks of listing and giving tours, we finally found new owners. A lovely couple who wanted the tiny house for a getaway nature reserve. It was our hallelujah moment. And yes, the tiny house is now living its best Canadian life. And just when we finally and safely parked the house off of the farm, we returned to the new apartment only to witness a gunfight at our front doorstep.
You know they can see you.
Yeah, with my mask on.
This apartment unit was the only realistic choice for us, given our budget and limited options. The neighborhood was far from ideal, and it felt like the very opposite of being in nature. We were informed by on-site staff that we lived along the, quote, human trafficking highway. The police raids happened so often that we became friendly with the different officers outside of the window. When we would ask the officers what was going on, they would not tell us. One officer said, "Don't talk to your neighbors." Months went by and eventually, all of our immediate neighbors were evicted. The personal challenges didn't stop there. We faced devastating losses, starting with the passing of our beloved dog Georgie. Not long after, my cousin in Texas passed away, and I was too broke to attend his funeral. Sujay's father's health worsened significantly. On top of that, my mother struggled with long-term COVID recovery. It felt like we were getting hit from all sides. Despite the chaos, we found ways to keep going. I landed a full-time remote job again, which was a financial lifesaver. Sujay pivoted from selling artworks at markets to hosting punch needle workshops, and she also started her feng shui consultation business. These shifts gave us a sense of purpose and stability in an otherwise turbulent time. And then there were the lessons we carried with us from our tiny house days. After eating anything, we always made sure to immediately clean up the kitchen. Multi-purpose furniture? A lifesaver. Stools as side tables, benches as shelves, you name it. Separate spaces? Absolutely necessary. Everyone needs some alone time. We also developed a deep appreciation for life's luxuries, like having a bathtub, a laundry machine, and reliable Wi-Fi. Oh, and Cafe Bustelo is still the best coffee for the price. Not sponsored. Tightening screws, literally and metaphorically, became a mantra for making life run a little bit smoother. Eventually, we found a proper house to rent in a neighborhood we loved. We'll tell that story at another time. It was a breath of fresh air to finally have a space that felt like home.
Are you excited?
Super excited.
We also adopted a new dog, bringing some much-needed joy back into our lives. So, to answer your questions, are we still together? Yes. Things got sticky, but we stuck it out. Back to the city? Not quite, but we'll revisit that one soon. Bigger house? Definitely bigger than the tiny house. No wheels and no more gunfights. 2022 tested us, shaped us, and reminded us what really matters. Leaving behind our fast-paced corporate lives in New York City to rebuild from scratch has been anything but easy. But isn't that what true freedom is about? The freedom to adapt, to dream, and to reshape those dreams as we grow? An ordinary life was never in the cards for me, and I'm incredibly lucky to have someone willing to walk this unpredictable path with me. For that, I'm deeply grateful. Also, happy to report that Sujay's father and my mom are both doing much better. Thanks for being part of our journey, and if you want more updates, or just want to hear about our next big move, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment below. Take care.